Morning, everybody. Welcome back. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. We are here for UFC Vegas 7 inside the Apex. Frankie Edgar against Pedro Munhoz. Let's get down to business. First fight of the evening. We've got Timur Valiev taking on Trevin Jones. Timur Valiev coming in at 9,100 in DraftKings, one of your highest priced fighters, minus 475 favorite, taking on Trevin Jones, journeyman fighter. Seen him fight in Asia in the Deep organization, 7,100 plus 355 underdog. This fight's expected to go to a decision at minus 170. This is a catchweight bout. So Valiev, 16-2 record. You'll notice some similarities between he and Frankie Edgar. He's got Mark Henry in his corner, Ricardo Almeida, well-rounded fighter, 30 years of age, solid through and through, nice kicking game. Jones coming off of a couple of stoppage victories in this spot. I expect Valiev to be a little bit too much, a little bit too much for Jones in all aspects of the game here. Give me Valiev by decision. Next up, we have Matthew Semelsberger taking on Carlton-Minus. Carlton-Minus was a massive favorite at the Open and has now since closed to minus 515, 8,500 in DraftKings. Semelsberger, 6-2 record, 7,700 in DK, minus 115 at the betting window. So we have a pick 'em right here. Semelsberger, you look into his history, he actually played safety at Marist College. And when he was playing football, he weighed about 205 pounds. Here, this fight takes place at 170 pounds. This fight is expected to go to his decision. You'll notice if you watch Minus's fights, he's got the slick stand-up, the movement. I don't expect this fight to hit the ground. Semelsberger, a few issues I had watching tape on him. He's got power, and he's a gritty fighter, but to me, that's about it. I've seen him pushed against the cage against lesser opponents, and this fight shouldn't be happening at the UFC level. Actually, we have the next fight as well that shouldn't be happening at the UFC level. Give me Semelsberger to win this fight in a gritty 3-round affair. I just don't think Minus is going to be able to hurt Semelsberger, and that's going to be what needs to happen if Minus wants to win this fight. Semelsberger, I'm going to take him via decision. Next up, we're headed to the men's light heavyweight division, where it pains me to say this. We've got Ike Villanueva taking on Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, still somehow undefeated after getting knocked out on his Contender Series bout against Fluffy Hernandez. 7,900, minus 125 favorite right now. We'll see what happens when the octagon door closes. Wright's coming in with the 4-inch reach advantage. Seems to be growing into his body. You watch his regional tape and you talk about somebody who's been fighting cans. Jordan Wright is that fighter. Villanueva, nothing much to write home about. 8,200 in DK, minus 105. Unfortunately, this fight is very likely to end inside the distance at minus 350. In my eyes, whoever gets off first and you got to look out for those counters as well. But whoever gets off first in this fight is going to be the one that takes home the victory. Villanueva, although he is tough as nails, this is a guy who's been finished 9 separate times, and he may have some street cred because of the neck tattoos, and he's got a lot of ink on him, but that doesn't win you fights. And Villanueva, middleweight, who has put on a lot of weight, now looks like he struggled with morbid obesity, dropping down from heavyweight. He is the harder puncher. I do believe he wants this more, but I have to pick Jordan Wright to get this job done, even though I don't like what I see. I have a feeling he's going to get to Villanueva first, who's slow as molasses. And speed sometimes kills in this game. So give me Jordan Wright, although I'm reluctant to make that pick at such a low-level mixed martial arts match. Now, we have a great scrap up next. We've got Austin Hubbard taking on Joe-Solecki at lightweight. Joe-Solecki coming off of the win over Matt Wyman. Solecki coming in at 8,400, minus 120 at the betting window. Actually, this line has closed. Originally, Solecki opened as a dog, widened up a little bit, but now it's closed. A lot of love for Austin Hubbard. Hubbard, 7,800, minus 110 over at BetDSI. 28 years old. Hubbard, done a lot of research on him when he came up and fought Davi Ramos. Also in the Marco Madsen fight and the Rashkov fight. You know the takedown defense isn't up to snuff. You know he's got great cardio. He really shows up in the 3rd round. But against somebody who's a proficient grappler, he tends to give up rounds. And I see that being the case in this spot. I think Joe-Solecki, one thing he does possess is extremely high fight IQ, and I see him either landing takedowns through catching kicks or just outworking Hubbard early on and being smart about energy conservation in this spot, riding in top position, letting Hubbard work, and then capitalizing on opportunities that present themselves. I am not ruling out Solecki by submission here, but I do have Joe-Solecki winning this fight. I think that he is, although he's a specialist, he is better at his game than Austin Hubbard is. Hubbard's a well-rounded fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's been putting on volume, but I see Solecki winning rounds here, and I'm not ruling out the submission for Solecki. And I think at 8,400, with money coming in on Hubbard, Solecki may be a sneaky play, especially when you have lots of other options out there. Next up, we have another hotly contested bout between Inoue-Lemos and Mizuki Inoue. Mizuki Inoue began fighting at 16 years of age as a professional. Incredible. You look up and down her record. She's fought the who's who in other organizations. Hasn't reached that level at the UFC, though. 8,600. I think she's overpriced in this spot. Has a win over Yanan Wu. Yanan Wu came in at 129 pounds. This fight takes place at 115 pounds. You look at the other side of the fight, you've got Lemos, who's coming in at 7,600, minus 105. I watched Lemos fight, and I got to say, she looks like the complete package early on. She commits to her strikes. She commits to everything that she throws. Her low kicks, chopping low kicks. You look at her fight against Leslie Smith. She was dominating that fight for the first 6 minutes of the fight. Unfortunately, fights aren't 6 minutes long. The question is, does she have 3 rounds in her? It might not be. It might not need to go three hard rounds here. You look at Inoue-Lemos. She has 7 finish victories on her resume, and this is a young lady who comes out and finishes fights. Problem I have when capping this fight is Inoue doesn't seem to go away, and she tends to be a volume striker who gains steam throughout her fights. And I think that Lemos, if you're going to play Lemos, you might want to look at the inside the distance prop. I have difficulty seeing her winning a 3-round decision. I don't know how she's going to increase her cardio here unless she had some nerves that really held her down. I have to mention this. Everybody look back at the Taila Santos fight and what went on there in her UFC fight and how she came back with flying colors. I wouldn't rule that out here. I'm staying away from this fight. Although if you're playing DraftKings, you may want to look at Lemos. I'm going to be picking Inoue to win by decision, but Lemos, I could see her pulling this off inside the distance. Take a look at that at 7,600 in DK. That is worth a second and third look. Next up, we head to the welterweight division where we have a matchup between fighters who had their originally scheduled bouts scrapped. We have Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod, taking on Dwight Grant. Dwight Grant's going to be coming in with a 2.5-inch reach advantage in this spot. Grant, 8,800 here. This pricing is all screwed up for DraftKings because you had people pull out. So Daniel Rodriguez is coming in at 8,700. You've seen lines for Rodriguez around minus 225-ish. And Grant can be had for a significant underdog. Grant, 10-2 record, was fighting out of AKA, but has since moved to Alliance. And you watch him fight, he looks like a spring that is coiled up and about to explode at any point, and strike at any point during his fights. He throws punches from very odd angles as well as kicks, and they are fight-ending strikes. Daniel Rodriguez, southpaw, gritty, deceptively strong in the grappling department, 10th planet jiu-jitsu fighter, has serviceable boxing. You watch his fight against Tim Means. I believe I had Tim Means at a great price, and Daniel Rodriguez came out and checked that chin and then locked up a submission against Tim Means in enemy territory in New Mexico. You saw what he did in the Apex against Gabe Green last time out. In this spot, if Grant is going to get this done, it's going to be done inside the distance. Though the problem is Daniel Rodriguez has never been finished in his mixed martial arts career. This is a person who has lost one fight via split decision. He was over in Combate. And in this spot, I have to roll with Daniel Rodriguez, but I don't like the price tag here. And that price tag is a little wide. If you gave me something under minus 200, maybe I'd pounce on that. But at minus 225-ish and upward, it's a little bit of a wide line there. Talking about wide lines, let's move up to the women's 125-pound division where we have Maria Agapova taking on Shayna Dobson. Shayna Dobson, 3-4 professional record. Agapova, 9-1. Lone loss coming to Tracy Cortez. 9,300 in DraftKings for Agapova, minus 1475 at the betting window. I was wondering if we'd see the minus 2,000 at one point. This fight's not expected to go to a decision at minus 380. Julia Dobson, she can be had for 6,800 in DK, plus 975 at the betting window. When and how is Agapova going to get this done? You saw what she did to Hannah Cyphers last time out. And in this spot, I see her winning inside the distance. She has a few different ways she could do it. I like what I hear in her interviews. I like what I see in her fights. She has a great skill set that's translatable to mixed martial arts, and also her mindset. I think that the sky's the limit for her. And I honestly, her frame, she could fill out and move up to 135 pounds as well. So I'm going to be picking Agapova to win inside the distance. And also, people say she's a free square on DraftKings. There's no such thing as a free square, but she's as close to one as we've seen. Next up, we head to the light heavyweight division, where we have Mike Rodriguez taking on Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio, 7,300 plus 190, 13-4 record. You look at Rodriguez on the other side of the fight, 10-4, fighting out of Boston, 8,900, minus 230 favorite. Prachnio is going to come out, and he's a very aggressive fighter. Rodriguez has to let Prachnio come to him, make mistakes, and capitalize on those. I see Rodriguez landing counters in this spot. I see Rodriguez landing takedowns, and I see Rodriguez winning the fight. A couple of concerns at the on the scales. Rodriguez did not look good this time out, and I do have concerns with Rodriguez coming off of a knockout loss and him wilting in previous spots where he should have come through. He's the better athlete, the better mixed martial artist, but you also need your mind to be in it, and he just seems to be lacking something. So I could see Prachnio coming in here as a live dog, and at 7,300, worth a look, but I'm going to be picking Rodriguez to win in this spot. Next up, we have the co-main event of the evening, where we have Ovince St. Preux taking on Alonzo Menifield. Menifield 8,300 in DK, minus 125 favorite. Last time out, we saw him go the distance against Devin Clark. Crack Devin Clark early, but was not able to seal the deal. Takedown defense was thought to be his kryptonite, but it seemed to hold up for the majority of that bout. On the other side of the fight, you've got Ovince St. Preux coming in at 7,900 minus 105. This line, very close. 14 losses on Ovince St. Preux' record. Coming in with the 4-inch reach advantage in this spot. You watched his heavyweight bout against Ben Rothwell. Out-volumed in that spot. Outworked in that spot. Against Lord Michael, had the kitchen sink thrown at him and was able to turn the tide somehow, some way in that fight. Lock up his Von Flue choke. The Dom Reyes fight was getting completely lit up and then wouldn't go away. He was finished after the bell in that spot in the third round. You look at his fight against Tyson Pedro, was getting completely lit up in that spot and then turned the tide. Krylov, there have been a bunch of fights where Ovince St. Preux, people start putting the nails in the coffin and they can't get that final one in. And then he comes back from the dead and locks up a submission choke. I posted on Twitter earlier in the week, is OSP going to come back with one of his patented Von Flue chokes in this spot? I think it's a possibility. I do. But then I also see Menifield capitalizing in this spot. Syed Fortis, they have to hammer this into Menifield's head that he's got to commit and get OSP out of there early. That's the way he's going to get it done. Because the longer he lets OSP hang around in this fight, OSP is going to come back and finish the job. So I'm going to be picking Menifield to win. This is a very dangerous spot, and I don't expect this one to go the distance right now. I believe it's lined at minus 260. Not to go the distance. We're already at the main event of the evening. Only 10 fights on this card, my friends. We've got Pedro Munhoz taking on Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar coming in, believe it or not, with a 7-inch reach advantage here. Edgar 7,200 in DK. Will be turning 39 years of age very shortly. Plus 215 underdog. Pedro Munhoz, 18-4 record, has fought some solid opponents. Man, the coffee's good this morning. 33 years old, 9,000. We've got Munhoz at a wide line right now, minus 270. Originally, when this fight was first booked, Munhoz could be had for minus 180. Got in on that. That was canceled. Rebooked. Got in on Munhoz the second time at minus 200. That was canceled. Rebooked third time. Got in at minus 210. That was canceled. And now we have a fourth booking. And this line is a little wide, I got to be honest. Frankie Edgar, he still has some of the tools that made him who he is. The problem is he's dropping from 155 pounds to 145 pounds to now 135 pounds. And I don't think that quickness is going to translate to this weight division. I wish we would have seen the Corey Sandhagen fight. I also wish we would have seen an Alex Volkanovski fight against Frankie Edgar. The Munhoz fight here, I see Frankie trying to use his reach, trying to use his evasiveness. Problem is it's going to be inside the apex. You've got 5 rounds to work with. Mr. Munhoz is going to have to start chopping at Edgar's legs. He's probably going to eat some punches while that's happening. But the longer he does that, it pays dividends. You watch the Caraway fight, you watch other fights of Pedro Munhoz, and I haven't seen a fighter at this weight division who relies on his chin so much. He believes in his chin more than any other fighter I've seen at this weight division. Can you imagine if Edgar walked around like that and just put his chin out there on a silver platter and used that to lure folks in? And he'd probably be retired or would have been retired a long time ago. Though we've seen Edgar get lit up in years past as well. So I see Munhoz getting this fight one inside the distance. I have a hunch that it's going to be on a counter shot where we're going to see probably I'm going to say third or fourth round where Edgar looks like he's ahead on the scorecards, and then he wilts. I really think that coming down to this weight class just before your 39th birthday is not a great idea. Although he did look excellent on the scales. I'm going to be picking Pedro Munhoz to win. I don't like this line being so wide right now, but I'll be picking Pedro Munhoz to win in this spot. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. Excellent card tonight if you pick your spots. Not much to say as far as a DraftKings effort because there's only 10 fights in this spot. You may want to save some of that bankroll for next weekend. There are a bunch of opportunities there. You can check out my plays at MMA Oddsbreaker Premium. You can follow me on Twitter at MikesMMAPicks. You can see me at betmma.tips as well. Go get what's yours, my friends. Thank you. God bless. Take it easy out there.